Hey folks, welcome back and happy St. Patrick's Day. Unless this happens to be one of the 364 other days of the year when you're watching this. In that case, well, it's a good day. Today I thought I'd have a little fun and do something that I haven't done in quite a while. I'm going to make some sausage. And to keep with the St. Patrick's Day theme, I'm going to make a St. Patrick's Day inspired sausage. I happen to love corned beef and cabbage. Well, I love corned beef, cabbage, I'll eat it once a year during St. Patrick's Day. And the way I make it, I think it's okay. So because I love both of those, I thought this would be a really good opportunity to put those two things together and make a sausage. So that's what I'm going to do. I did a little research for this video and found a couple different videos where they do something similar to this. But those guys either take a brisket and go through the 5-day process of brining that thing, or they take a brisket and cut it up and put all the brining seasonings in before they grind it. I'm sure that way of doing the sausage turns out great, but I wanted to be a little bit lazier. So I found myself store corned beef, and I'm going to use this. This happens to be a point cut. They usually have point cuts or flat cuts. The flat is usually a lot leaner, more fat in the point. And that's what we need for sausage. But taking a look at this particular point I got, it is a pretty lean point. So I'm going to bump up the fat content a little bit with some pork belly. And for the cabbage, I'm actually going to use a real cabbage. I'm going to take this and make some Irish cabbage out of it. I'm going to saute a little bacon, put some cabbage in there, and maybe a little Irish whiskey. I think this is going to turn out really good, but we'll see. Let's make some corned beef and cabbage sausage. Time to make the Irish cabbage. I have a head of cabbage here. I'm going to probably use maybe a third of this. I'm going to be mixing this into the sausage, so I'm going to have to chop this up a bit. This isn't going through the grinder. Now I'm going to cut up some bacon. Okay, I think that is looking really good. Time to add the cabbage. I'm going to cook this down a bit, maybe so some of the water gets released. Time to add a little Jameson, a little Irish whiskey. And a bit of ground pepper. As I mentioned, I have cabbage like once a year, and this is the way I like to have it. Okay, I'm going to put this in the refrigerator for a while. I want this cooled way down before I put it into my sausage mix. This corned beef I got from the store is just a little over 4 pounds. As I mentioned, it's a point cut, but if you look at it, it's pretty lean. These store-bought corned beefs, well, they're brined for quite a while, and they typically are a little bit saltier than I like. So I am going to take this out of the package, rinse it off good, and actually soak it in some water for a couple hours. Hopefully that'll draw out some of that salt flavor. I'm going to save these seasonings for the sausage mixture. Okay, I'll find a place for this in my refrigerator and let it soak for a couple hours. Okay, this has been soaking for a couple hours. Hopefully that pulled some of the salt out of there. Pat this dry a bit. Now I'm going to cut this in strips that'll fit into my meat grinder, which, by the way, I got a new one. This will be the first thing I'm going to grind with that new meat grinder. Okay, all cut up into nice strips that'll fit great in that new grinder. Now I'm going to take this pork belly piece that I have, it's about 1 pound, and going to cut it up too. This extra fat is really going to add a lot of juiciness to that sausage. And here it is, my new grinder, a Lem number 8 Big Bite. This is quite an upgrade. I'm alternating between the pork belly strips and the corned beef strips. I'm also going to mix this up by hand afterwards. Well, I have to say that ground up really well. I'm going to put a little extra seasoning in here, and then we're going to mix it up. I have a mixture of black pepper, garlic, caraway seed, coriander, and that seasoning packet that came with the corned beef. I think this is going to boost up the flavor a bit. Some of those flavors in there are sort of like rye bread flavors, so this is not only going to be a corned beef and cabbage sort of sausage, but I'm going for a corned beef, cabbage, and Reuben sort of sausage. Let's sprinkle some of this in here first. Okay, now I am just going to keep mixing this until it becomes nice and tacky. It is smelling good. A lot like corned beef. Hard to believe. Add a little liquid. That's just plain water. That'll help a little bit with the mixing. Once this gets good and mixed up, I'm going to add that cabbage. All right, that's looking really good. Pretty sticky. I'm going to start adding our cabbage to this with those little chunks of bacon. And one more addition to give it even more of a Reuben kick. I'm going to add some Swiss cheese. This is some high temp Swiss cheese. Okay, I think that's mixed really well. Now we just need to stuff it in some casings. And we're really close to eating some corned beef and cabbage sausage. Usually when I stuff sausage, I use my really nice Lem Mighty Bite sausage stuffer. That thing is a dream. It cranks out sausages like it's nobody's business. My brother and I have used it several times making large batches of sausage. This time I'm going to do something a little different. I am going to use my gigantic jerky gun. I recently got this jerky gun for my daughter Jamie, so thank you, Jamie.
All right, watch this. Whoa, look at those flames. That was awesome.
This thing holds about 2 pounds of meat, and it actually comes with a sausage stuffing tube. So I'm going to give this a try and see if it works. I think it's going to do okay. I'm going to start by loading the meat into this canister. Chunks of cabbage in there. Never seen that before in a sausage. I'm going to try to get some of the air bubbles out. I have a little plunger here. Now I just need to put the casing on this tube and we're ready to go. All right, now I'm going to tie this off. Okay, let's see how this goes. Okay, I'm at the end of the first tube full of meat. And man, that worked really good. Now I'll tie off this end. Okay, I'm calling that a success. This actually is going surprisingly well, a lot better than I thought it was going to. I think I just have about one more load to do there, and then it's time to link these up. I'm going to make them about 6 inches, I think, good bun size. Just pinch it off about 6 inches and pinch another one off about 6 inches and then twirl. So then I have a couple nice links there, and we'll just keep repeating. I wasn't quite sure how that jerky gun was going to work out, but it worked out really good. I think for small experimental batches of sausage, that's the way I'm going to stuff these sausages from now on. Some of these links have some air bubbles in there, so I'm just going to take a little, actually, corn cob holder and just pop them. Okay, they're looking really good. I'm going to throw a couple of these on the grill and have myself a nice corned beef and cabbage sausage for lunch. Today I'm going to be grilling these. I suppose I could smoke them or bake them, but I think grilling on a day like today is going to be great because it has got to be one of the most dreary days near St. Patrick's Day I've ever experienced. So I'm making corned beef and cabbage sausage for St. Patrick's Day. But funny enough, corned beef and cabbage really isn't a thing in Ireland. I think nowadays it might be. But the whole corned beef and cabbage on St. Patrick's Day, that was actually started by Irish Americans a long time ago, right here in the good old USA. But hey, I'll eat it, no matter who invented it. Really curious to see how this sausage version is going to turn out. What do you make for St. Patrick's Day? If you make corned beef, how do you make it? I prefer to put it in the slow cooker and cook it for a long time. I usually get the cheapest cut of corned beef I can find in the store and just let that slow cooker do its magic. Let me know in the comments how you make corned beef. Guinness. You like Guinness? I do. It's good, but it is great in Ireland. It's looking pretty good. I thought it was going to be a little bit redder than this, but it's not. The important thing is, how does it taste? Surprisingly, it tastes a lot like corned beef and cabbage. Who would have guessed? To be honest, the texture isn't all that great. It's a little bit loose. I should have mixed it up a bit more. But the flavor is outstanding. That little extra caraway seed I put in there really gives it that rye bread feel and taste. I think it's time to try it on a bun. I have a little brown mustard on my sausage, a little side of Irish cabbage, and of course a Guinness to wash it down. I think this mustard's going to add a nice kick. Surprisingly really good. Coming from a store-bought pre-made corned beef, I think this is a winner. I'm thinking I'm going to do this again. This turned out okay. That was a pretty fun St. Patrick's Day experiment. Making sausage from a store-bought corned beef. The flavor of that sausage was really good, especially with the added ingredients. Especially the caraway seed. That gave it a really nice rye bread taste. The Swiss cheese I added gave it a nice Reuben kick. Of course, the cabbage with a little Irish whiskey and bacon put it over the top. I am going to put the recipe I came up with in the description. Give it a try if you're a sausage maker. If you're not a sausage maker, well, first of all, you really should be. But if you're not and you're in this area, let me know. I'll throw a couple of these on the grill for you. This really was a good day for a few different reasons. Number one, I tried to make a different type of sausage. Number two, I got a new grinder. And number three, I experimented with a different way of stuffing those sausage casings. That jerky gun actually worked really good for a small batch. Speaking of the equipment I use, some exciting news. I now have some affiliate links. If you check the description and you click on one of those links and you happen to buy something that I'm recommending, hey, I'll get a little something in return. That's not a bad thing. So in the future, if you see something you like that I'm using, I might have a link for it. And one more thing, I do have a Facebook group. If you're into Facebook and you want to join us, I'll have a link in the description. As usual, I am having a really good day. I hope you're also having a good day. And as they say in Ireland, Sláinte.